Finally finish up the suspension and finish up the wiring as well. Currie Enterprises, Fab 9 inches. Our friends at QA1 sent us all the parts we need for that. Kryptonite hit me up. Hey, that's bullshit. They weren't wrong because it's already fucked up.
We even brought back the OG, triple OG.
Oh, what's up, suckers? It's a new day.
What up, suckers? Salute the flag.
We are back here at Rad Rides down in Huntington Beach to finish up whaling the turbo Godzilla-Swapped 2-door OBS Chevy Tahoe 4x4. Yeah, it's a long name, right?
Keep going.
Yeah.
Still long.
Today, I'm stoked because we got some really badass parts to put on the car. We could finally finish up the suspension and finish up the wiring as well. So check it out. Let's get straight into it. Let's not waste any more time. Got two things to handle. We got the front and the rear. Oh, shit. We need to pull out the suspension, too. Hold up. And we're back. Okay, now we got all this stuff laid out. Let's fucking go. Here's the deal. We got a lot of stuff to put on this truck, so we're going to get right to it. We got to put the suspension on. We got to put the rear end on. We got to redo the suspension, as I already did.
Stop shaking! Why are you shaking?
Because I went to stock shit originally. You know what? That's not going to hold up. So we need something beefier. So let's start from the front, work our way back. Up front, here's what we got. The boys over at Kryptonite hit me up and they were like, hey, that's bullshit and it's going to break. And you know what? They weren't wrong because it's already fucked up, okay? So these guys make this entire kit all in-house in the USA, and this basically steps it up to like 1 ton status or like 3/4 ton status. I need to check on that. But anyway, let's just get into it. We got the same style of steering where it works off the box, swings this big old arm here. Obviously, this thing is meaty. Tie rod end links. We've got some real beefy upper arms. Now, this, we need to see if this is actually going to work because we're lowering it. Usually, these guys are doing lifted truck stuff. I believe these are stock length, but they might be a little bit longer. If that's the case, that will throw us off a little bit and we'll be kind of doing the wrong kind of camber, you know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
We're going to check them though. We're going to try them out, see what happens. They sent us some upgraded sway bar end links. Let's get into the rear end. Now, if you know me, you know I like a sturdy rear end.
Big juicy butt cheek.
Now let's dive into the rear end. So originally I was gonna run that gigantic 14 bolt in the back, but that's not really gonna be strong enough and it's enormous and it's heavy and it's just not gonna work. So I hit up our boys at Currie Enterprises and picked up one of their Fab 9 inches. Now this is incredible. The attention to detail here is great. Welds are insane. It's real thick steel, but it doesn't weigh that much. Like this is picking it up with one hand. It's a real beefy housing. Save a ton of weight here. I think that 14 bolts over 600 pounds. This thing fully assembled, it's like 2 something. We've got some Currie axles, 35 spline, chromoly, real thick boys, and drilled to that Chevy 6-lug pattern, thank God. So that means we're gonna be able to run those brakes. I even got the adapters from Little Shop. Don't need to do more new stuff. That's all the magic happened. The third member with motive gears. So we got a 411 set in here, and then we've got an Eaton True Track. So it's gonna party because it needs to be a street car and it needs to turn and not be super annoying. That's why I went with the True Track. Now, I've run a True Track in my C10. You know, I had a Currie 9 inch in that too. Worked perfectly. I've got True Tracks front and rear in my K5. Those have not exploded yet. Moving on, suspension. This is really important. Now, we had to obviously wait to get that in order to build out this 4-link that Josh at Bag Industries was nice enough to make for us in SolidWorks. Our friends at QA1 sent us all the parts we need for that. So, not only are we gonna be running double adjustable coilovers in the rear and then double adjustable shocks up front because I'm still gonna run the torsion bars for now. They also sent a sway bar, which is great, and they sent us all the stuff to make everything we're gonna need. So, we got big ass heavy duty Heims. We got weld-in bungs to make the link bars. We've got misalignment spacers. Got everything we need. We got the nuts.
Just trying to grab some nuts.
We're gonna start this shit, and I think the first order of business is getting this thing up in the air and just cutting old shit off that we don't need. That's the most fun part. So, you boys ready?
Ready. Oh, we're ready.
And go!
I hate to interrupt this build with another build. As you know, your boy has an LS swapped R34. But what happens when the engine parts go bad and the engine didn't come in that car? I'm gonna tell you right now. So what happened to me, my power steering pump went bad, and as you know, power steering and these arms are getting very, very sore. Luckily, I know where this engine came from, my grandfather's 1999 C5 Corvette. And what did I need to look for? A new power steering pump. So I typed in all of that information on the eBay Motors, and luckily, they had the power steering pump backed by the eBay Guaranteed Fit, which means that this bad boy right here and this bad boy right here are gonna fit on my engine the first time. And if they don't, it's backed by the eBay Guaranteed Fit, which means I could send this back and get my money back so we can get back on the grind, people.
Okay, folks, we are back. Last time we worked on this, we got all the kryptonite stuff in, now tightened up, sitting pretty, and now we're gonna move on to the 4-link. Sir John, can you please explain? So we took a bunch of measurements here, you had the angle finder out. What all are we trying to take into consideration before we start diving into this 4-link?
Ride heights, how our chassis is sitting, drivetrain angles. We need to know all that so we can set the pinion angle up ultimately.
Yeah, so talking about launches and pinion angle, right? Like why, where do we wanna be, and essentially why?
Ultimately what we're after is the drive line is going to straighten itself up and it's going to line itself up off our pinion angle, and we want that to come in about the point where the springs are going to be putting as much pressure on the rear axle to get traction and not too much. If we go too far, then the springs will jump off the axle and then we lose traction. So we want to hold traction. Kind of like a pro stock car. If you watch a pro stock car launch, front end comes up a little bit, the rear tires go in, the front end comes down real gently, keeps moving. We can't have any abrupt movements, otherwise we unload.
So this thing be bouncing all over the place.
Yes, yes. All of our actions have to be kind of slow and gradual. We get a lot of control out of the double adjustable shocks, how quickly front end will come up, how quickly the rear end will go down, how the rear spring unloads off the rear, because you're not going to hold the load on the spring the whole time you're launching, because we have the most force when we initially launch and then that force goes away. We don't want to take it off the rear tires when we do that.
Sick. All right, so now we're gonna lay out all the parts, make sure we got everything, and start burning this motherfucker in.
Put the rear end center line in square to the chassis so it pushes you forward, not to the side, not like some of the big four-wheel drives we see crabbing down the road.
This thing is like driving crooked and shit.
We want it straight down the road. So we're trying to find the center of the chassis, but we also have to take into consideration our wheel openings because that's the outside of the car. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to figure out a point in here where it's the middle of the chassis, and then we're going to file a notch there, and then we'll hang a plumb bob from there, and then we'll hang plumb bobs off of our new Currie 9-inch housing, and we will put the rear end in square.
Ah, so you just hang a little dangler right there, and then back there?
We file a notch right here, so you can always go back to it.
Oh yeah, baby, suspension is looking good going in. So John here burned in at this 4-link, all tacked in.
Today we're gonna get the panhard bar mocked up in place. We don't finish weld anything until everything's in place and we know everything is going to work the way we want it to work. So we're gonna mock the panhard bar up. It's gonna have a frame mount inside the frame here and another mount on top of the axle tube over here. And then we're gonna have shock mounts. We're gonna go outside the frame with the shock mounts. We have adjustable QA1 shock mounts, which are really bitchin'. And then we're gonna mount the shock right out here on the outside.
Hell yeah.
These get us above the axle housing center section.
Okay.
And so that's what we'll be running off the top tubes. We'll obviously box these in when we're finished with them. So they're strong. And then we got those, and then we got a couple of mounts.
How much travel do you think we'll get out of those QA1s here? I mean, not out of the QA1s.
4.5 inches at the most.
Oh, really? So you think we'll actually get 4.5?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to like make them longer, if I wanted to like lift this thing.
I mean, you can do it, but what you're going to run into is with your panhard bar is when the panhard bar starts working in its arc, it's going to move the rear end off center from the chassis. So it's really important when we start raising things up, then we really need to have an adjustable panhard mount on here.
Yep.
So we can restore our geometry, our ride height. We can't just put it wherever we want. The panhard bar would end up like this. So you're in the arc, so it's moving really quick.
And so you're also putting more side load on all the suspension pieces as well?
Yeah, we want the panhard bar parallel with the axle tube is what we want. But when we start angling it, it'll load it harder.
That's what she said.
Josh that designed the suspension system, he wants to run the drive shaft straight. So we've got about a degree down going into the rear end on the drivetrain. So I set the housing up a degree up, so it's all lined up. This 4-link is designed basically anti-squat. This is set up more for what Hoonigans do.
All right, guys, we're here with Andy Weinberg, and he's gonna show us 10 welding tips. All right, guys, so the first tip to becoming a better welder and fabricator is actually finding the right machine. For me, I have no clue what I'm doing or what to look for, so Andy, what do you think is best for me?
First I'd say is, what do you plan on doing it? What are you welding?
Some sheet metal work.
Okay, mostly on cars?
Yep.
Obviously, right? Being a beginner, a machine that has auto set is gonna be primary because it's easy to set the machine. You don't have to worry about setting the individual voltages and wire feed. I assume you want a MIG welder?
Yep.
Okay, so that has volts and wire feed speed. But auto set, all you have to do is tell it what wire you put in it and the material thickness, and it sets itself. So the Miller-Matic line of MIG welders has auto set, super easy, and it runs on 120 and 240 volt input power, so it's extremely flexible.
Here she is. 4-link has been cycled. It's tacked in right now, but it looks good. Functions well so far. Hell of a job, John. We're gonna close up shop here tonight. Tomorrow, pull this thing all back apart. John's gonna weld everything. Before he does that, Mondo from Drive Shaft Pro is gonna stop by. He's gonna measure this thing up for some drive shafts because you're gonna need some thick boys. And every single vehicle I have ever built has had a Drive Shaft Pro drive shaft and hasn't had a single problem. It's coming along. Oh yeah, it's a new day, baby, and we got Mondo in the shop from Drive Shaft Pro. What's happening?
Hey, what's going on, peeps?
Yo.
How you doing?
All right, so check it out, man. Here's the deal. 4-wheel drive truck, meant for no prep drag racing. It's gonna have drag radials on all 4 corners. I need to be able to launch it.
Well, the good thing is you have the Currie 9-inch in the rear.
Yep.
That's perfect. And my bread and butter is a 4-inch aluminum. Chromoly yoke, spicer solid joints, you'll be good to go. Also, the joint will be 3 5/8.
Yep.
Then the yoke or the neck of the slip yoke is going to be here, so it's going to be the smaller diameter.
Yep.
And then the 3.5 tube will be here.
Okay.
So it should be perfect.
Nice. Oh, hey, real quick. If we were gonna measure this like it is, right? If we didn't have a yoke in here,
Yeah.
right? How would somebody measure that?
On this here, we measure from the seal of the trans or the housing.
Yep.
To the outer edge of the yoke.
Oh, so you measure to this guy
the
right
outer
here.
Edge, yeah, the outer edge. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. So this isn't a collapsible drive shaft. It's just one
No,
piece.
it's gonna be a solid one piece, 2 joints, and then the transmission.
Cool.
The front one's gonna have a slip on it only to install because it can't be a solid mount. And
Yeah.
on that one, if you want to come over, I'll show you how to measure. Same way, same method on the rear as here. So basically, you'll go from the flat here of the yoke to the flat also here. So basically, mounting point to mounting point at ride.
Well, shit, Mondo. Appreciate it, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. It's a new day. We are jamming, baby. Finish up the welding on the Currie 9-inch here. Gonna take and plate this in. Basically, this rear section is gonna be boxed for strength on both of these. and then do some finish welding. Make sure everything's nice and tight. I'm gonna handle some big daddy launches. Then we can take and strip this thing down and get it powder coated along with all the link bars. Also gotta weld all that stuff in too. Got a package too. This is dope. So, Buddy is over at the Infamous project. So we ran into a little issue with needing a knock sensor harness off the stock factory Ford harness in order to make it work with the Dominator, but didn't have a factory Ford harness to work with. So luckily these guys, they happen to have one. Here we have stock factory Ford Godzilla harness. We just gotta figure out which one of these is for the old knock sensors and then just cut it out. John has burned in and boxed in everything on the rear end.
Plates are made out of 3/16. My box material is made out of 1/8, but we've gone in here and we boxed the rear of it in, you know, over the top. Did a little bit here in the front, the inside holes. Made a little bit of clearance for the heim joints to move, and then I did another box right there.
Oh, nice.
This is just to strengthen it up so the 4-link brackets absolutely will not move on the housing, because I know this guy is going to be throwing this thing around like it's nobody's business.
Yeah, there's only one thing that I do sort of well, which is, you know, chuck it and let Jesus take the wheel. Sick. So now this thing's basically ready to go off to powder coating, right?
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah. So I guess the next order of business here is, so we got to make the outlet or the dump for the exhaust, because we want to get that coated as well. All this exhaust parts off, and we can send that out to coating as well as the 4-link. Bring it all together, do it once so we don't have to do it again, right?
And if you'd like, we can do that right now.
Cut to it. Things are getting done, baby. We've got a whole lot of wiring. All right, look at that loom, you know? Nice and clean and tidy. We even brought back the OG, triple OG.
OG, triple OG, OG, triple.
Here's the deal. We got a lot of stuff to do. Last 10% of the build is 90% of the work?
Last 10% of the build is 90% of the work. So we've got a lot of stuff done today. A little bit stuff like some final plumbing we needed to do for the breather, plumbing for the wastegates, actually mounted the intake, officially mounted for the first time. Got all the sensors done, Holley harness is in, still got quite a bit to do, but obviously the Dominator's not gonna sit right there. But yeah, we're getting there, slowly but surely. Still have a long list of stuff to do, but chipping it away. So we're gonna call it a night. Be back tomorrow, get back at it. Let's go. Checking back in here. Got some positive momentum here. My man John over there, he's got all the wastegate dumps whipped up. Look how sick that looks. Did a couple other things too. Just finishing up on the 5-inch dump out the turbo. That looks real good. Good aesthetics here. We're gonna take all this stuff off. We're gonna bring it over to Rockstar Coatings in Riverside. We're also bringing out the link bars, the axle housing. Everything is gonna be Cerakoted. It's gonna look dope, nice and clean, and it's gonna give us a lot of nice heat protection too. Let's get this stuff off. Let's get it over to our boy. Oh yeah, baby, it is a new day, and it's a good day. Just ran out to Riverside to Rockstar Coatings, picked up all the parts we had coated. Damn, do they look good. Hell yeah. These guys killed it on the Cerakote. So, all of the exhaust Cerakoted, which means it is going to deal with heat a little better. It's going to dissipate the heat better, and it's going to keep heat down, which is good because heat's the enemy.
Plus, it looks damn good. So this is titanium, and as this stuff heats up, it does change a little bit of color, so it'll get a little more yellow, but I like it. So this is gonna look real dope. Rear end, this has also been Cerakoted, so it gives it this nice, flat, black look. Real clean, real sleek. And we don't have to worry about this damn thing rusting, which is nice. So we also did the link bars, which John is getting all prepped for the Heim joints and getting himself coated with anti-seize, of course. So we're sitting in tall cotton here, is basically what I'm saying. So right now, we're gonna kick some ass. We're gonna throw this thing back together. We're gonna get it down on its own weight again, because then Suppy finally get inside the car and we can finish up wiring, and damn, we're close. Let's go. We are moving and grooving here. We got the Little Shop manufacturing brake kit on. We got the center section in, and now John is about to build some hard lines for this bad mammoth. Oh, in the meantime, while John builds those hard lines, I am gonna get to putting this exhaust back on so we can get that thing back together. Let's do it. Man, look at that. Very stealth and incognito looking. Got to set it down on the ground, get everything squared up. Looks damn good. And we got trans coolers in. Got the pump down here. Drive shafts will be here tomorrow. Yeah, we still got a bunch of wiring to do. This thing looks good. Looking like a real vehicle. You know what? This is a good point to stop today. This is good. This is coming along. Hell, we might even get this thing fired up. Might even get it done in time for SEMA. Let's go. You might not know, John has built some sick Top Fuel cars, a lot of badass sprint cars, so the guy knows his shit. Suspension setup is absolutely key. So it's good to have him on board. It's also good to have guys like Josh who are willing to design stuff like this, but also know that I'm a fucking idiot.
You're not wrong.
And I'm gonna do something stupid with it.